Namato Ratana Tayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Zem, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. My respect goes to my parents and my teachers. Hello, good evening, everyone. So today is Tuesday, the 15th of December, 2020, and this is Ajahn Sujan from Varapunya Meditation Center, Aberdeen, Scotland. So first of all, apologies for not able to give a talks and a guided meditation for 3 days, 3 nights, due to other commitments that just came without any warnings. So it's funeral things. Hello, Margaret. I hope you're keeping well. I hope everyone is happy and keeping well. It's been 3 days I didn't come and give a talk. And this is obviously it's a difficult time for many people, particularly it's a time when someone who we loved, if they passed away, then it's difficult to cope, and particularly this time it's difficult to get support from even the family members. So it's quite a sad moment to lose someone who we really love, our close ones. And this is again the nature that we can't deny, and we all have to go through with this one, whether we like it or not. That's why there is a teachings called we are subject to decay, and we haven't overcome this decay, and we are subject to death, and we haven't overcome from this death. So we have to, in a way, have to face whether we like it or not. So tonight I'm going to again continue from what I have left a few days ago about the 30 princes were asked to find out by themselves rather than finding someone else. And after that, the Buddha, on the way to teach the Bimbisara, one of the greatest kings at that time, and the one thing, on the way to the Bimbisara, Buddha had to deal with 3 brothers, ascetic brothers, who were very good at magical powers and worshippers of the serpent, and call themselves as someone who is arhat, or noble ones. So, and when we look at the Buddhism, and Buddha prohibited monks to perform any magical powers, and then prohibited of even having those powers. But however, early days when Buddha was traveling, he had to demonstrate his supernatural powers just to clear someone's view and a perception that they are better than someone else. So this has happened, that this group of ascetics, the first group was led by Urvala Kassapa. He had 500 disciples, and he was the leader of a fire service, or praying over the fire, and he was someone who has given up worldly affairs and worldly matters, and he himself excelled such a great veneration and magical powers. As a result, he himself thought that he is an arahat, or the noble one, the liberated one, and so he was well worshipped. And this is again It's called Gaya Sea, which is nearby where the Buddha was enlightened. And I had an opportunity to visit that place twice. Last 2 years ago, I went. My last visit was about 2 years ago. At that time, I was taken to the place where believed to be the place where the Buddha gave this discourse on a fire. And this place is called Vishnupada. Means basically the footprints of the Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, and a place, a holy place where the particularly if you've been if you are a Hindu followers, then once in your lifetime, if you go there and do this ritual called Shraddha, transferring a merit to the departed ones, and if you do there, the belief is that for the 7 generations, those who are suffering in the lower realms, they will be liberated. So that's a Hindu concept over the place called Vishnupad or Gaya Sea. And this was a place where these fire worshippers were gathering at that time of the Buddha, and they were well respected, and they were well venerated, and they all observe a strict practices of paying respect to the serpent and naga, and then also development of the jhanas and the mystic powers and supernatural powers like that. So on the way, the place from where the Buddha was, on the way, Buddha went to ask for staying overnight in the Uruvela Kassapa's institute. And having understood that this Uruvela Kassapa and along his 500 students are fire worshippers, and the fire is basically coming constantly burning there, and meanwhile there is a special kuti, the hut. In that hut there was a very angry venom serpent that they also worship out of a fear. So the Buddha simply asked the permission to go and stay in that hut where the venom snake, the serpent, was living. And this Uruvela Kassapa said, "Oh, Venerable, you may stay in our institute, but in this hut, it's very dangerous. You shouldn't be going and resting there. But you're most welcome." And then Buddha repeated again, saying, "It's okay. Would you permit me to go and stay in that hut?" And this Uruvela Kassapa, "Well, if you insist, then go, and tomorrow we will prepare for the funeral. Your funeral." Then Buddha said, "Oh, that's not sure whether you will have a chance to do this funeral about me." So the Buddha went into the hut, and straight away after sat down inside, after get into the hut, and simply sat down and meditated. It says that Buddha was meditating on the loving kindness practice. And having seen this monk coming into the hut, this serpent, this venom, deadly venom serpent was very, very angry, and this serpent was simply trying to scare the Buddha, and using the fire and trying to bite him, and so and so. But Buddha simply used his, the commentary says that Buddha used his supernatural power to tame the serpent, and the serpent simply became so small and went into Buddha's bowl, And that's how the Buddha tamed the serpent. In early morning, along with the Uruvela Kassapa and his students were just waiting and preparing for the funeral of the Buddha. But in early morning, Buddha simply come out, from the kuti and said, "Oh, here comes. This is your naga that you've been worshipping, and now it's tamed." And having seen that naga, which was so deadly, is tamed by the Buddha, Uruvela Kassapa thought that he must be the Uruvela Kassapa is thinking that the Buddha must have a supernatural power and must be very good at it, but he's not a arahat yet. Yeah, so he's not a noble one like me. So Uruvela Kassapa holds that he is an arahat, and then and after that, Buddha displayed different magical powers, and every time when the Buddha displays the magical powers, this Uruvela Kassapa simply say that, "Oh, you may have a supernatural power," and basically he thinks, "Oh, this monk has got the supernatural powers, but he's still not my, not arhat one like me." He thought like that. And again, this sort of a people, even nowadays we can see a lot around too, that sometimes they always think that they are right and they know the right thing, and when someone says or someone act better, then sometimes can cause a lot of jealousy and a lot of competition and not accepting their ability or quality. Like there was a story, that one of our members, he was very good at engineering, oil engineering, and he worked in one of the offices, and he was explaining that some projects when he was given to take over, and then he plans it, and then someone higher up than him will just come and amend that project in a different way, in a slightly different way, just to keep his or her signature on it, simply saying that, "Oh, she is more better than someone who is working below," like it's sort of a thing. And here also Uruvela Kassapa was like, "I am superior than you," and the Buddha was like displaying so many magical powers that they think they have well respect, but again and again, Buddha was simply rejected by Uruvela Kassapa. And there was one night that Uruvela Kassapa was thinking that, "Oh, tomorrow we're going to have a big a gathering, and I wish that the Buddha didn't come and show his spiritual powers." And this Buddha knew from his ability to understand others' mind, Ceto Vimut. So the Buddha read his mind. So then, next day Buddha didn't come out from kuti, the hut, and he just simply stayed. And later on, the Buddha, after the ceremony, this Uruvela Kassapa comes and speaks to the Buddha. "Oh, why didn't you come this morning for this gathering?" And then the Buddha said, "Oh, you thought that you wish I am not there, so that's why I didn't come." And then, "Oh, he can read my mind as well." And so Uruvela Kassapa was just amazed, and then still had this thought of he was the arhat and he is the better. So he thinks again, "Oh, although he can read others' mind, but he's not the arhat yet, noble one yet, like me." So this kind of a thing goes on. And then at the end, the Buddha had to tell him straight away that how bold you are. I have been displaying and I'm trying to dispel your perception of your novelhood, but you're still holding this thickness in your mind. I have read, I know you, what you are thinking. And then after that, and the Buddha said that you are not an arahat and you are not better in psychic powers, magical powers, So why you are having this perception of you are arahat, you are a liberated one, you should give up. So that's how then Uruvela Kassapa simply thought, oh, this man is a really knowledgeable, really powerful one. And immediately he kneels down and said, oh, accept me as your student. And Buddha said, no, how could you become my student? And immediately, you are such a well-respected person and you have so many students, 500 students. You have to consult with them. This happens that he spoke with his students, 500 students, and then among them the students said that, oh, we have been so impressed by the Buddha, second or third of a magical display. We've been simply waiting and we have no problem at all to change into the Buddha. And then, all right then, so cut these matted hairs, this very matted hair. So cut them and become the disciples of the Buddha. Now here the story is so beautiful that Uruvela Kassapa, after he was kind of defeated in his understanding and he accepted that the Buddha is a well known and he is a good teacher, and then after seeing that, after his attitude changed towards the Buddha, Uruvela Kassapa wanted to be a Buddhist monk, under the guidance of the Buddha. And the Buddha questioned him, saying, are you sure? You have so many other students. Rethink again. So Buddha didn't convert them immediately. Let him rethink. This is what is different compared to other religions, particularly nowadays we have missionaries going into Asian countries and trying to manipulate or trying to convince and try to convert, and then once you convert, it's like a contract that you have to follow, and whether you like it or not, it's bound by a kind of a contract, signed papers. Whereas Buddhism is, although it's spread all around in the world, in every countries, it doesn't matter which religion or which community is, Buddhism simply there and talk and give information, but all always need to be mindful of what they have understood and what they have known. And again, when someone comes for the conversion, Buddhism always keeps an open eye and let you decide, let you think whether appropriate or not. So that's why Buddhism is not a religion to convert anyone, but it is the conversion from ignorance to knowing, from darkness to the light, from sleepy and miserable to the awakened and happiness in our life. And that's for sure. Okay, so that's why it's not about you're changing from one organized religion to another organized religion, but it is changing our perception, changing our attitude. In terms of the perception, we perceive in a very diluted way that things that is unhappy, we take it happy. Things that is impermanent, we take it permanent. Things that are non-self, we think it as a self. So, like, we have a misconception of this eternity of our life, and never to be dying, never to be getting old, and this me and mine is always there, and it is true. It's atta, never die, and simply transform one to another. These sorts of a perception always binds us into the life after life in the samsara, and suffering after, pain and suffering, and constantly uh, experiencing it. And this is called vidya. So turning from avidya, the ignorance, to the vidya, the knowledge, that understanding the things that truly are, that really are, rather than our distorted perception of a reality that everything is permanent and things are happy, and my mind is always permanent, and that sort of a thing. And once you have changed, then your attitude will change, your behavior will change, the way you think about yourself and your, the nature and the world, it all will change. And that change is basically as change towards the better, a better of your own life, and then a better of a rest of others. So that's how you become a real Buddhist. So that's how Buddha, when the Uruvela Kassapa wanted to become a Buddhist or a Buddhist monk, Buddha let him rethink whether the decision that he has thought is right or not. And the story goes on that his second brother is called a Nadi Kassapa. The name is river. Nadi means river. His brother, who was who had another institute where about 300 pupils studying under his guidance. And then while they were having a conversation, and they saw the old hairs of his brother and of his elder brother and all other students floating along the Narinjara river, saw that, and the Nadi Kassapa, the Kassapa river, and along with his students, amazed, and then thought that, oh, there must have some happened to my brother and other students. So they all came up to see in Uruvela Kassapa's institute, and realized that, oh, everyone just shaved their hairs, were simply listening the teachings of the Buddha. Having seen that, and then the Nadi Kassapa, along with the 300 students, again say, are you sure that this path is correct, and this path is better than the path that we were following? And then they all 500 say, yes, it is. Come and join with us. So again, they also join. So the second brother also joined along with his students. And then a third student, and a third brother, Gaya Kassapa, and he's his junior one. So he had 200 students, and they saw again this hair floating along the way and along the river, and so they also thought that, oh, something happened to my brothers and the students. Let's go and see what's going on. And then they also come up to see, and then having to see that they all become a Buddhist monks and safe-headed, and then they also ask whether this path that you have chosen is right or wrong. And then everyone say that, oh yeah, this is the right one, this is the right teachings. So we have seen, and this is the right one. Doesn't matter how much magical powers that we have developed over this course of a training, but it's compared to his, it's so less and so little. And this path that the Buddha is teaching is so direct, and that lead to the liberation. So with that, again, these all 201 also join to the monastic order. So that's how, in the same area, within a few days, Buddha was able to ordain 1,003 ascetics, those who were using a fire as a worship, and then worshipping snake. And it did happen that on one day they saw the fire, and it was burning the woodlands. And having seen that, Buddha took that as a simile to teach according to their temperaments, because they have been training to work with a fire, pray with the fire, and then the Buddha, used fire as a simile to teach these 1003 monks. And here again, when we look at the Buddha's teachings, we realize, we see that Buddha always bring the similes that related to specific those persons. And suppose the Buddha is teaching to the farmers, and Buddha will again use the similes from farming. And if the Buddha is talking to someone, a businessman, then Buddha will use something about the business as a simile, so that their temperament just simply connects with the message that the Buddha is trying to convey. Similarly, on this fire, all the ascetics, those who were worshipping fires, Buddha used a fire as a simile to teach them, and then end of the day they all become an arhat. So tomorrow I will be explaining briefly on the fire sermon. So I end here for tonight's reflection, and thank you everyone for joining with me again and again. Apologies for 3 days not able to give a talk, and tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock there will be the mindfulness support group on Facebook that David will be leading. You are most welcome to join with him. So thank you and good night. May the Buddha Dhamma Sangha bless you. In a few moments time we're going to have evening chanting and guided meditation. You're most welcome to join with us. Until then, good night. Satu.